Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's Noble Beer Reviews. Today I have another beer from Resident Culture Brewing Company out of Charlotte, North Carolina. This beer is called Lightning Drops. The description says hazy IPA, hopped with Citra, Mosaic, and Galaxy, bursting with juicy tropical fruit and dank citrus. And it is 6.5 ABV. And the interesting thing about this beer, other than the fact that they switched to black cans, which I think is cool, I like that, is this is now their flagship beer. They had never, this was a new beer that just, they started making it about a month ago. But they said that this is going to be their flagship IPA. They're going to have this available all the time, which I am all about breweries doing that. I like, obviously you have to accommodate the tickers because there's people who just want to try all the new stuff. So, you could have a rotating list of different things, but I feel like you also should have at least one, if not a couple beers that you always have, because you're always going to have customers that come back and aren't necessarily the super beer nerds, and they're just like, I came here, you had this, it was really good, can I get it again? And maybe that might be a one-off beer, you say, no, sorry, I don't have it, but at least you can recommend, well, we have this all the time, so try this, and if you like it, every time you come, we'll have it. So I really appreciate that there's more and more breweries that are, they're not necessarily getting away from all these rotational beers or one-offs, but they're at least coming up with some staples and then doing the one-offs on top of it. So I do like that. So I'm guessing Galaxy isn't that hard to source anymore, because I thought it was, but I can't imagine you would make a flagship beer with a hop that you can't always get. So, but Citra, Galaxy, and Mosaic is definitely a good combination. Simcoe is the only hop that I would add in, probably the best combination IPA personally for me. See, pretty cloudy, definitely traditional hazy IPA. About a finger and a half worth of pretty fluffy white head. It smells juicy. So in my brain, I'm like comparing this directly to Brew Gentleman and General Braddock's, because they just did the same thing. I mean, that's been their flagship for years, so it's not the same thing. But now that they're actually canning it, they have one flagship beer that's in cans that they're going to have all the time, which is what this is. I do get some peach rings. There definitely is some pineapple and a little bit of dank character, so that description was right. I think that makes sense for the hops that are in this. There is a little bit of that like sweaty character that Mosaic has as well, but I've also gotten that from Galaxy. Sorry, I'm trying to be even like more critical, because this is going to be their flagship beer, so I want to think about how I feel about this versus their other hoppy beers, IPAs, etc. So it is very juicy. Big peach and pineapple, and it does have a bitter, dank finish to it. So I'd say it follows suit with the description, but it does have a pretty aggressive bitterness on the back end. I feel like the last couple IPAs I had from them, especially Mohawk Moments, that was honestly one of the best IPAs I've ever had. No joke. This is not living up to that, And I do get that this is probably a really good amalgam of the different varieties of flavors you're going to get from their IPAs. So it's a good middle of the road beer. But as far as well, I don't know. I've admitted this a couple times that sometimes these IPA reviews are tough because to me IPAs they're not something that you can judge off of 4 ounces. You really need like a 12. I mean, these are pounders, but you really need like a 12-ounce pour because you got to get the first couple initial sips to see how intense the bitterness is and the initial flavors, and then you have to become accustomed to those flavors and then start drinking it more. Because I've had plenty of IPAs that I thought were pretty good up front, and then I was drinking them more, and I'm like, I don't really like this. This has this or this that I don't like about it. But I've also had the opposite where it was maybe too bitter, or it was just leaning too much in one direction. And then I finished the video, and then the more and more I drank it, I was like, damn, this is starting. I'm starting to get less sensitized to the stronger flavors and start getting the other things underneath it and realizing this is actually more complex and it's actually a better beer than I thought it was. So it's funny. You would think that wouldn't be the case with IPAs. It would be the case with like stouts or something because if there's a bunch of stuff in it. But to me, those beers and Pilsners are just simple all the way across. So they're going to taste pretty much the same all the way through the beer. Stouts are so big in flavor that you're going to get most of it like up front. I mean, it might open up a little bit more as it warms, but you're still going to get most of the flavors. But these IPAs, especially the hazy IPAs, they change so much within the drinking experience. It's kind of hard to judge it just off of a couple sips, to be honest. But even I will say, even I took a minute and that last sip, I still don't think this is as good as some of their better offerings. Like I said, that Mohawk Moment, Soul Sauce, whatever you feel, just dance it, dance until you're dead. Those beers, I believe, are better than this. I think this is, for me, this is just a little bit too aggressive. I wish it had a little less of that hop burn to it. I think the flavor profile is fine, but it's also not like, it's not super specific to the hops that are in it. It's kind of it's kind of in that realm of generic like plant material hop burny flavored pineapple dank whatever. I just feel like there's 18 different hops that you could have put in this that would in a 3 hop combination and it would taste the same as this. That's not to say that it's bad, but for a flagship beer, I want something that is super crushable. It doesn't have to be really unique, and this isn't really unique, but I want something that's like very, very, that I could just drink pint after pint and not be like, oh, it's too much of this, too much of that, and that's not the case with this. I understand I'm being hypercritical, but I would say on my scale of buy, drink, dump, I'm still going to give this a buy because it is still a good to great hazy IPA. But for me, for what I would want for a flagship IPA, to me the flagship IPA should actually be a little bit dialed back from what like the one-offs are, because to me it's something that you can just go back to at any point in time. Like I said, you can drink a lot of it or whatever. This to me is more of a one-off thing. It's pretty intense in all different realms. If you had this hop profile on like an 8% beer, it might work more, but it's 6.5. It's just there's not enough body in the beer to handle the hop the hop schedule or whatever you want to call it in this. So I'm gonna give this a buy because I do think it's good, but I'm hoping they refine this one a little bit because it's not really what I'm looking for in a flagship IPA, and in my opinion, it's nowhere near as good as General Braddock's, and that's what I'm gonna judge every beer's flagship IPAs, every brewery's flagship IPAs off of, because that's my favorite. I had to stop myself there for a second, but that's maybe not my favorite IPA ever, but it's definitely my favorite flagship IPA ever, and it's definitely top 5 or top 10, if not top 5 IPA ever. So I got to judge them all off of that, and this definitely does not meet that. So I hope they improve on it, but in general, it's still a really good IPA, and it's worth buying, so check it out. But I think that's all I got on this one. Please like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.